Good evening, and today's episode is brought to you with the help of our sponsors, Lucky Strike Cigarettes, the number one doctor recommended cigarette in the United States of America, and of course the rest of the world. Um, every drag I take, I feel healthier. There you go. Mhm. So now that that advertisement is done, the topic of this one is TSR Elders. This is take number 4. There was a 10-minute one, another 10-minute one, and a 37-minute one, and this is take number 4. I'm estimating the video length will be between 10 and 20 minutes, but you know how it is as you get older, you kind of repeat yourself, and go off on tangents and forget what you're talking about. Yeah. So, don't worry, you're not alone. One thing I would like to say to start is that it's a big honor to have some of the original creators of D&D and AD&D here, and the elders of D&D and AD&D. For me, I look at page 8 of the Dungeon Master's Guide, and there's a list of people there. So why not let's just find the Dungeon Master's Guide? Okay, here we go. That was quick. And sorry about the lighting conditions. They're not the greatest. One of my admins sent me a ring light, but what happened to that? It basically stopped working because I think it was on for too long. So onwards to page 8, credits and acknowledgements. Um, it's actually a very small section. It just has one word in it, coffee. Yeah. And then, things start to get complicated. Yeah. Yeah, paragraphs and things like that. Anyway, so um, here we go. Peter Aronson, Brian Bloom, Mike Carr, Sean Cleary, Jean Louis Fiasson, Ernie the well known barbarian Gygax, Luke Gygax, Al Hammock, Neil Healy, Tom Holsinger, Harold Johnson, Timothy Jones, Tim Kask, Rick Krebs, Len Lakofka, Jeff Leeson, Steve Marsh, Shar Niebling, Will Niebling, John Pickens, Gregory Urin, John Sapienza, Lawrence Schick, Doug Schwegman, Dennis Astaire, Jack Vance, James M. Ward, Gene Wells, and Skip Williams. Also noted here is Bob Bledsaw of Judges Guild. And now we're at the point where it's like, well, hold on a second. Where are the credits for the artists, right? They are found on page 1. And it's a beautiful picture of a unicorn. As you can see, Celestine, she loved unicorns. And I think you guys know who created this map, this masterpiece. If you don't, then learn more about the history of D&D. I don't want to put anybody in the spotlight too much, but just for the record, this map was done by Darlene, who is an awesome artist. And if I could say a couple things to, let's say, the elders, right? Well, one with the first one, I think knowing me, it would probably be like, oh yeah, man, you got to check out this band called Elder, yeah, Elder on YouTube. They're really really awesome. Okay, and then the next thing I would do is I would say that to all of the original TSR people, it's a big honor to have you here. And then the third is a kind of reminder that with 8,000 people in this group, sometimes some of them get really rude and are disrespectful. Some of them are just plain assholes. What can you do? You have a group of 9,000 or 8,000 people. It's just, demographics, I guess you could say. So I hope that that kind of negativity doesn't drive anyone away from this community, this group, right? And if you find like 10 posts in a row that you don't like, then yeah, you should be at a different place that you would enjoy more, right? But yeah, it's like the weather; it goes up and down, and most of it is good-natured wit and humor, going back and forth, and basically anything relating to first edition AD&D. So it's always a drag when I see one of the top contributors leave, but it's part of the way it is. Yeah. So with well, let's say 8,000. It's past 8,000 people here. There's an active membership. I would estimate of about 800 people. Okay, so that might even be a high estimate. The thing is that with a lot of internet forums or Facebook groups or communities, however you want to refer to them as, it's something I've noticed over the years is about 10% of the total number is active, in the forum or the group. And 800 people, and there's a really high level of engagement here in the sense that some of the posts that I see are just amazing. New monsters, new spells, new magic items, works of art, maps, you name it. Um, and I'd like to thank everyone who has spent time to share their creativity with other first edition AD&D fans. So that said, oh, I'm thinking. I started in 1982, and I was born in 1972, so I was 10 years old at the time. And the art of D&D and AD&D at the time, it was literally enchanting. And those were good times. Unfortunately, these days, for whatever reason, a lot of D&D fans seem to be at each other's throats. And hopefully, there is not too much in the way of fights and fighting and that kind of thing, but that does happen every once in a while. If someone is rude to you or disrespectful, and this goes out to anyone, then consider blocking that person. Just don't block the admins. If you can do that, that would be great. And so yeah, some good, some bad, and that's life. You're gonna get some negativity here and there, and hopefully a little bit more in the way of positivity here and there, right? So, although Gary Gygax is credited as the author of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, um, he was not just a writer and game designer; he was also a master compiler. Okay, so he took ideas from Dragon Magazine and then reworked those ideas into a first edition AD&D format. So he was diligent in crediting uh, his sources, which is really good. And he would end it with apologies to anybody that he had missed. Now, interestingly enough, Dave Arneson has not mentioned the Dungeon Master's Guide, and I can kind of see why. The sad part of the history of D&D, that Gary and Dave, after a certain point in time, they just did not get along at all. That's putting things mildly. But here in the year 2024, I don't really see any kind of animosity between the fans of Dave and the fans of Gary. I think it's well accepted that this happened in the past. People have set the record straight, and my attitude towards it is like, yeah, Blackmore, that's a cool campaign, and then Greyhawk, that's a cool campaign as well too. Yeah. And this map here, it's at an angle for stability. A big thank you to Darlene for this masterpiece, which is basically the template for all of the World of Greyhawk maps that would follow given time. So yeah, Gary brought together the ideas of many different people, and honorable mention should go to Tim Kask, who's the first employee of TSR, and also the first editor of The Dragon Magazine #1. In the early days, it had the definitive article, THE, okay? The Dragon, and that is basically the Tim Kask era of the magazine. One of my favorite stories that Tim tells, ask him to tell you the story one day if you want, is how Tim and Gary basically locked themselves in a room for, let's say, 6 days, only taking phone calls from their wives, and they had a bunch of, I guess, box sets of Dungeons and Dragons, and some of the supplements, and a whole pile of Dragon magazine issues, and they were using advanced technology like back in the 70s, like scissors and glue and other technologies of the ancients. So yeah, sorry to all the collectors out there. I wonder if what they did with the leftover bits. Yeah, but yeah, pasting stuff up on walls and things like that was how it was done back in the day. And things have come a long way technologically since the 1970s. So um, I'm looking at about the 10-minute mark. So yeah, I think I've said that what is important to say. As a review, well, please give our elders, the elders of D&D and AD&D, a little bit of extra respect. And you might really seriously disagree with them on this or that, but please try to keep it civil. But at the end of the day, it's up to the person who makes a comment or makes a post. The only things that we really take down are things that are not within the Facebook community guidelines or standards or whatever it is these days. So yeah, we have to be on good Facebook behavior, but beyond that, there's a lot of freedom to basically, post whatever you want. And yeah, don't worry about the negativity that you see every once in a while. It happens. Yeah. And yeah, again, to bring it back to the beginning, it's a big honor to have the original TSR crew here, and I'm like, oh my, guess what? Something slipped my mind. I think. Hold on a second. Yeah. Maybe it works out for the better that I end this on a good note with page number 1. And yes, the artists, I almost embarrassingly forgot to credit, that are listed here: David C. Sutherland III, D.A. Trampier, Darlene, and Will McLean, David S. LaForce, and Errol Otis. Okay, and art is inextricably interwoven with D&D. There's no D&D without the art that is an integral, essential part of it, and we've seen so many amazing things over the years, and there's a lot to look forward to as well. Now, I don't want to talk your ears off, so I shall bid you good evening or good night. And just, yeah, always remember, you're finding friends in your imagination. Oh, and one more big thank you goes out to the admin team who basically have been covering for me for a while because, my best friend died. So, I told the admin team about this. I don't want to go into the details now. And they were very helpful and understanding. So I'm making my way back, and it's not easy to do, but I'm starting to be able to make jokes and things like that. Not that my jokes are funny to most people, but what can you do, right? Um, and that should pretty much sum things up. So the video length here, I'm looking at about 14 minutes, and I think this one is okay to send to YouTube to upload. Okay. Um, yeah. So have a great evening, and also remember, you're fun, your friends, and your imagination. Thank you.